SaaS Mastery Product-Led Strategies for Explosive Growth with our speaker, Paul Sullivan. Boasting over 15 years of prowess in SaaS, Fintech, Ecommerce, and B2B Services, Paul offers an unparalleled blend of experience as a former CTO, CMO, and a certified product marketing leader. Through his ventures, Digital Bias, an award-winning product marketing agency, and Leevr, a rising MarTech startup, he's been the driving force behind innovative go-to-market and revenue operation strategies on platforms like HubSpot. This session promises an in-depth exploration of effective go-to-market methodologies, product-led growth tactics, and transformative digital strategies. Whether you're navigating the early stages of a startup, growth, or leading a scale-up, harness his wisdom on driving results that prioritize revenue over mere leads, action over stagnation, and data-driven decisions over guesswork. Okay, so I'm excited to have Paul Sullivan here. I mean, honestly, this happened by chance, but it probably couldn't have been any more better curated or designed. Like, this is a solid session to attend, especially if you're a startup, especially if you're looking to augment or optimize your processes and your systems behind the going to market, getting your product out there, So without further ado, let me introduce Paul. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being part of the Global Economic Advisory Network.
No, I'm glad you found me. I mean, it's a great referral from Christina, and just having that quick chat beforehand, I think there's definitely a lot of alignment in the way that you guys are doing this stuff and what we're doing as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I'm excited. Thank you, Christina, if you're watching. I owe you. Anyhow, so let's do a little preface for the audience. Talk a bit about your background. I know you just sort of ran me through it, but I was like, I got to get this on camera because this is so good. So yeah, go ahead. Let the audience know who you are and what you do.
Cool. My name's Paul Sullivan. I run a consulting business primarily for B2B tech and services companies. I'm a former CTO, CMO. I'm a serial entrepreneur. The one thing I always lean into is I am not a graduate. And so I'm definitely a showcase of what grit and determination can do when you may not have had the academic qualifications. And it wasn't because I failed at school. I was actually in Mensa when I was in primary school, which is kind of like the brainiac people. But when I was going through, high school, secondary school in the UK, I got a summer job in a stockbrokers, and a recruitment consultant interviewed me and called me up and said, "Do you want to go and interview at JP Morgan?" I was like, "Of course I do." And the guy just said to me, "Look, you're not the typical kind of guy we hire. It's usually the grad program, but I like you. Come in for a couple of months, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, what have I lost? What have you lost?" And I was there a month, and they gave me my first job, and I was like way out earning all of my peers. But yeah, it started there. And I've just gone on, always been curious about the web, how tech enables businesses, and how fundamentally, I think one of the biggest things that founders, including myself, have been really guilty of is looking at tech as a cost rather than a benefit. And yeah, there's a license cost per month, whichever that is. But quite often what we find is you don't outweigh, your time, the time it takes you to administrate things with tech that can really deliver powerful results for you. So that's what we're talking about today. Arise, right? Go to market.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And actually, like, just a side note, I think, if you are an entrepreneur right now and you're relying on people as your system, it doesn't translate that well when you're looking to exit the company, because you also need the system. So having tech, investing in tech provides the systems that support the people, and, it makes it a lot easier to train new people. So, just evaluate the potential cost to your exit strategy that it would cost you if you didn't invest in tech now. So just wanted to say that. So having said that, let's get into a little bit about Arise. So he mentioned Arise is the, what can I refer to it as, a system?
Yeah, it's kind of, we call it a product, but it's like kind of a methodology and approach to re-optimizing go-to-market. And let's be really fundamentally honest with each other, right? Everyone's already done it. By the time you started selling yourself, your business, your product, your service, whatever it is, you've already done go-to-market. But if what you do, and for most of us, it's going to be the same thing, we take the thing that we're best at, could be cooking, could be numbers, could be coding, whatever it is, and you're going to run with that. The rest of it becomes secondary. And it's almost like you'll tap into your local network first. Could be family, friends, people you've worked with before. You could be lucky and land a really big client that's willing to take you on from that. And if you get that journey, kudos to you. But fundamentally, most of us don't. We don't get that. And so, having worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of founders and startups, enterprise companies, I'm a mentor for at least 4 different accelerators. I work with people who are fundamentally building their businesses day in, day out. So ARISE, what is it? ARISE is an acronym. It's assess, research, ideate, strategize, execute. Really, really easy to follow. Primarily built around HubSpot, and there's a reason for that. It's not that you can't build it around any other CRM. It's just that we're really deeply experienced with that technology, and because many startups and many early stage businesses can get up to 90% discount on it. I know a lot of people look at the price in the market and go, God, that's £900 a month or whatever. Actually, you can get it for 90. And it's just about knowing how to go and do these things. And, that's what we built this on. So ARISE, it's more of like a re-optimization program, right? It's assessing what you've done. And that will be like looking at your data, looking at do you have any documented sales strategy, sales planning? Are you measuring what you're doing? Do you have like HubSpot's free CRM, for example? Are you putting your contact data in there? Are you tracking your deals in there? Are you starting to look at the average length of time a deal takes? Are you making sure that you've got, a regular cadence of contact with current customers and new customers? Do you have an upsell program? All of this stuff is about where are we now? I've been selling this thing, whatever it is, but this is where I am today. What do I need to do? And actually, I'll probably have a swipe file that you guys can take, and I'll make sure that it gets given to us at the end of this session. But then once you've done your assessment, it's about the research, because there's a ton of things that you need to do. Personas, do you have personas? And not the reverse engineered ones, not the ones that I'm selling insurance, so I want to sell to someone buying insurance. That's probably the weakest form of marketing strategy that I can think of, because insurance is a really broad subject, and there's marine, and there's all these other kind of, corporate, all these things. So you're not everything to anyone. And so you need to be really definitive on who you sell to and why, and how that then leans into your differentiator. Because what people buy in the market is transformation. Even with food, I'm going to sit down hungry, and then I'm going to leave full, and I'm going to have a really great experience, and I'm going to have a good time with my friends. So what they're buying is the experience of the person they're with having a great time, maybe some wine, maybe not, whatever you do. But you understand that really you're not selling the plate and the food on it. That's the mechanism that gets people happy and talking about you and Instagramming and doing all those things, right? So people are constantly buying transformation. And most of us do not even use transformational language on our websites. We don't invest in them enough. We don't think about the buyer enough. We don't think about the buyer's journey. One of the things that's quite common is jobs to be done. Jobs to be done, right? And so jobs to be done, I can't remember the author of the book. Oh, actually, sorry, quite handy. I've got it here. Jobs to be done by Jim Kalbach.
Okay.
Effectively, what it does is it forces you to think about not just the persona, but where they are in their day. So imagine you're selling legal services to small business owners, contract management, say, whatever that is. It's not that you're just selling it to small business owners, because if someone's desperate enough, they'll just find you. And if you're local, maybe if the price is right, those things go in your way. But most of the messaging, and I talked about this before, which is about 80% of your conversion, will be driven by where you can leverage your messaging where the buyer feels the most pain. So we do a lot of these workshops with people where you actually get into, I'll give an example. We're working with a company that is focusing on Cobra in the US, and it's a platform for Cobra administrators instead of having a local administrator. So it's a SaaS platform. Okay. And what we did is we looked at these small business owners under 50 employees, and what happens when there's a termination. So, for example, right, you sack me, so now I'm able to say I still want to contribute to the benefits until I find a new job, or I enroll on my wife's benefits, whatever that looks like. But right now, that's what you've got to do. That's what I want to do. So what that potentially looks like internally is you've already had a conversation with HR person or the person that deals with payroll and saying, right, Paul's getting sacked. Don't like his performance. He's gone. There's a conversation. So a record gets made, a letter gets prepared, a meeting gets prepared, final salary and benefits calculated. Maybe someone then has to figure out, oh gosh, like, how do we tell the carrier? We've got to tell the insurance carrier, but first we need an answer from Paul as to whether he's staying or he's going. And then all these things that actually take place, we had to map out so that we understood that when we build this service, when we offer it, when we communicate the power of it, we are able to consistently lean into, this is where this person feels the stress the most. And this is where we can tap into their pain the most. So when you talk about pain, we talk about this quite a lot in marketing and sales. That's how you learn to do it. And so it's not hard. It's literally sticky notes, really. It is identifying your persona, figuring out their wants and needs, and then figuring out, based on what it is that you offer, what their process of decision making looks like. And
so this is part of Arise, right? This is part of the services that you're offering to anyone who may need help in identifying a specific persona if they haven't already have this, right?
Yeah. And you know what? We moved from, I would say, like a service-led organization in July this year, July. And we, you know, because I've got a tech background, I've tried to, you know, I want to mirror my my buyer. And so they're used to products, right? These are people that work in a product-led world. And so we shifted from services, which was, you know, as we discussed, most agencies, 10, 20 services, you know, what did we specialize in, to 6 products, right? That's it. Go to market, which starts with Arise, which is like fundamental for everyone. And then we've got Amplify for marketing, Predictify, which uses AI to run your sales engine, Champion for customer success.
Great.
Reveal, which helps system product owners understand how users are using their tools and engaging with them. And then we've got Evolve, which is revenue operations, and everyone in the world is talking about this at the moment, right? So that's what we've got. And so all of the tactics and strategies, they just go underneath that now. So now we're not talking about services, we're talking about transformation. If you buy this product, you start here, and when we deliver the work, this is where you're going to end up. And I talked about this in the beginning. People were buying transformation. That's what they're buying, right? And even going back to the Instagram thing, you know, that good meal, that nice experience, that translates into living my best life. So you're helping someone live their best life. And so, you know, they're getting likes and shares. And so that's how you kind of see where you're going. But we brought together a program called Service Design. And I built this workshop from reading another book, which I don't have next to me, but have a quick look. So the service design principles, you can Google this. There's a ton of stuff out there. There's a website called Strategizer with a Z that's got a lot of this material on it, but not the way that I do it. So there's a differentiator. And so what we did is we built a deck, or I built a deck based on the 15 principles of service design. So now what we focused on was, forget what we offer, because what I offer is, I can't ever change that unless I walk away from what I'm doing. So the offer's always the same. However, if I now focus 1,000,000% on the customer and how the customer experiences this, and how they need me to enable them to understand it, to find it, to use common language, not to use technical jargon that your buyer doesn't use, and all of this stuff. And then it took like that, plus a ton of research on, you know, the different personas we sell to, marketing leaders, sales leaders, tech and technical leaders. What are their real world problems? And so why was that important? Why did I not just focus on, you know, we're a consultancy agency business with this product suite? It's because you have to fundamentally understand what triggers an environment and decisions in an environment, or at least get as near to. So once you understand the real problems that go on, and you know, there's political things that are going on internally, there's misalignment in teams, there's budgets that one team gets, the other one doesn't. There's all these things that happen that skew decision making, and you need to be understanding of how that works. So what we did is when we finalized the research, we broke it down into 3 key things. Is what can we solve with our product or service? What can we solve with content? And what do we just need to leave alone? Because it makes it really easy to figure out, this is what's going to be important to them, because we can physically or technologically deliver this stuff. This we can solve with content, because we've got enough nous and strategy to solve that. And what that could look like as an example is we might write content for sales leaders on how to hire better sales staff, because we understand what they need from a new salespeople. And so that kind of content resonates, and you're leaning into their pain and you're showing you understand them. And that's just an example, right? And if you sell food, right, you might actually start your blog and you're sharing your recipes, because recipes, people are going to try it, but it's not going to stop them from buying from you. And you need to be open to the world is full of research, and maybe someone else has already got the same recipe and it's already out there. So please jump in.
Yeah. So what could they expect? What could an audience member, whether they're a solopreneur or a small business or a middle-sized enterprise, I mean, what could they expect if they were to enter into the Arise program?
Okay, yeah. So fundamentally, the program is delivered in under 90 days. That is a guarantee. So we're either going to launch your business in under 90 days, or we're going to re-optimize its entry into the market in under 90 days. And it is a step-by-step program. There's I think we've got about 94 different frameworks, workflows, deliverables against Arise. And there's probably maybe like 10 or 12 workshops, and all of the workshops layer onto one another. And probably, I'd be honest and say maybe 100% of people that are not that au fait with kind of real go-to-market, which product marketers do, which isn't social media and all this other stuff. It's like positioning the business, the value proposition, the narrative you're going to use, your differentiator, all of these things that come earlier than the social and all of that. But about the third or fourth workshop, then people are they're really invested, because they're starting to see this value. But also there's a significant mind shift change, and before we started this conversation, I said, I'm working with $100 million companies and 2 therapists that have been doing something for 6 years, and all of a sudden they're seeing how a move towards productization of services and naming conventions that inform transformation. So I think they've got assess, accelerate, something else, and then thrive. And all this kind of language, it all sends subliminal messaging to the brain, which often we're fighting, that this feels positive, this feels transformation, this feels like a journey. I'm going to get something out of this. SEO, so you do search engine optimization, websites, million people doing websites, some doing from like $50, some people doing for 100,000. So like there's too many things that when you're doing straight on answers to people, there's just too many answers. If you got go on.
I get what you're saying, in the sense that when the language is too technical, you can turn off the audience, because they're not speaking that language. They're not, those technical terms. And I think that's very, very apparent when you're looking at AI and cryptocurrencies, for instance. Like people, or blockchain, people are, it's such a high barrier of entry for a lot of audiences because of the language. So very good point.
Yeah, and there's other things that we lean into, right? So this isn't all about me and my knowledge, like intent data, for example. What cost-effective tools can smaller businesses and the large businesses use that show which companies have the intent to buy, or at least researching products or services like you offer, right? And I've no affiliation to this company, but if you're a smaller business, Apollo.io gives you 6 keyword terms that you can track, and then, email those companies, because those people are showing intent to buy. Why is that relevant? It's because a lot of the time we scared of picking up the phone. We don't like cold calling. And that's probably because fundamentally we hate being embarrassed. And so no one wants to feel like ashamed or embarrassed because someone says, no, go away, or whatever that language might be. And so we're always trying to figure out, how do we sell the most? If you look at really bad websites, there's too much on them, because everyone thinks that the website is going to sell the product. It's not. When you read people's emails and you see why email sequences don't work, it's because you're trying to sell in the email. You will never sell in the email or on the website. It's a conduit. It's the place where you say, look at what we know, look at what we know about you, and this is how we help people like you move from A to B. Do you want to chat about that? That is really the messaging that you're trying to get to, right? So if you look at our messaging framework, value proposition, give me in like 10 to 20 words if you can. Then we lean into an elevator pitch, a couple of sentences. Then there's that longer description where once you've got my attention, right now I want to explore, and how can I say in 100 to 200 words, this is how we really affect you. And if you can get it succinct and to the point and layer that value. So, if you think about a typical website page, top, you've got the header section, value prop, 10 to 20 words, boom, this is what we do. As you start to come down the page, this is the added value. This is how you're experiencing it, and these are the products that are going to shift you there. You can have a really simple website, really simple, one pager, can start there. Obviously, bigger companies might have different value propositions, a lot more content to share. But you can see how when you're thinking about what's important to the buyer and not what's important to you, your language becomes immaterial. What language they use becomes more material. Your product offering has to be aligned to the language they use, the way they want to buy. And then all of a sudden, you start thinking about internal decision makers. If you're selling to a business owner, and that's an owner-managed business, even someone like me, right? I potentially might have to go home and speak to my partner and say, look, I want to buy this thing. And so I'm not the decision maker, am I? Right. So, you might feel like, oh, you're a small business. I've got a one-to-one conversation, which, hey, I still might not be the decision maker, even though I'm the business owner. So, you always have to figure this stuff out. And then your job becomes, well, if on average, Paul does have a business coach, an advisor, a partner, a silent partner, the wife, the husband, whatever it is, right? Whoever that is, you need to make sure that your value is easily communicated to the people in the background. And that's a really key thing.
Yeah. And I mean, this is for me very, very apparent because I have a background in design strategy. So it's like, yeah. But I'm just thinking to the audience who may not know this, but he also mentioned earlier about, the journey, so your customer's journey, and this ties into every touch point that they're having with your brand. So simplifying your messaging in this format that he laid out, so that when they have the interaction with, whether it's your website or your sales guy on the phone, make sure that you're following the same format and catering to the actual individual who's not just a number, it's not just a metric, it's an actual person. So take into account the behaviors of each of your customers. Okay, so that's, having said that, let's ask maybe a couple questions and how this could apply to or what they could expect after the 90 days. Like after they've implemented this, how could they start to measure their results, or what is the next step from them after that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Earlier in the conversation, I went into CRM, and HubSpot, Pipedrive, Zendesk, Salesforce, powerful tools, powerful records. If you're just being, for want of a better phrase, a busy fool, pumping the phone, shoving the emails out there, walking the street and going door to door, whatever it is, if you're not kind of recording the activity so that you can measure it and understand what is working, what's not, that is going to be a massive barrier to success for you, because you'll just never know. And it'll always feel like a fluke.
Yeah.
But you have to measure the positives and the negatives, right? If you always focus on what went wrong, you're going to make it really difficult to kind of double down at times, and you're going to need to do that. I hate the word grind because I feel like it doesn't have good context to it. It just doesn't mean just do it every day, but it means do it well and do it consistently. And I think you want to be very clear about that. CRM, and then you've got some coaching. So a lot of the time, we believe in 30, 60, 90-day game plans at our agency. We don't believe that you'll always need us. My job is to come in and solve the problem that you need today. But even in 12, 24-month contracts, everything we do is 30, 60, 90 days, because what we prove is value, outcome, and transformation, and it's measurable. Now, this came from a lot of learning of working with big corporates, where even when they hire you to do the one thing in the beginning, even 4 or 5 months in, it can shift. And all of a sudden, if you're just completely in your 12-month program of works, you've got no flexibility, and then they'll cut the contract. What they're looking for is people that can align to the way that the business moves. And, even today, talk about AI, we'll come back to that, but we use a lot of AI now, but the way the business moves, using AI has helped us even pitch better, because we use AI tools, and then we use AI tools to read the AI's output to help shape and craft a pitch. And that done for $50 a month. So, you know, for having the right tools, like we use Fireflies. I don't know if you use a tool like that, but
yeah.
So Fireflies kind of records the conversations you're having on Zoom and whatnot with, or, you know, Google Meets. Then it gives you a breakdown of what was important to each person and what the touch points were. And then what we do is we take that and put that in ChatGPT and we say, right, you're a salesperson. You have to write a pitch. Here's the breakdown of the call that went on between our company and the other company. Write me an executive summary and a sales pitch that covers everything that was important to them whilst leaning into our strengths. Boom. Obviously, you need to go in and
tweak. Yeah.
You know, it's got to sound like it came from you, but fundamentally, you're going to get there. And I think we just landed like another really good comment from that. So
That's
what
great.
goes on beyond the 90 days? Coaching. There's ongoing monthly meetings, you know, over the next 90 days. We want to make sure that you're doing stuff. But the reason that we, again, lean into certain technologies because we've got access to the portal and actually we can track you. So if we can see that you're not following up, then it's pointless for us. And I am going to walk away. I'm not going to spend my time. I'm not a babysitter or anything like that, right? I want to work with people that are as focused on their grind as I am, because the more focused you are, the more excited I am. The more excited I am, the more you're going to get out of me. And everyone who works with me says, Paul, the best thing about you is you. It's working with you and the way that you challenge us and throw things out at us. But I don't also believe that I'm like the ultimate answer. So I'll bring my VP of content in. She'll look at some of the material. She'll challenge me. And so ultimately, we're not in this mindset of, yeah, Paul created this process. The process is great. Don't get me wrong. He does it. And then it's all his perspective, because I will never believe that I am fundamentally the genius. I will never believe that. Right. So I have to have the 4-eye, the 6-eye view. I want the opposing opinion.
Yeah.
I want that, and you need it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. One of the first speakers mentioned that he's like a military corps. He comes in real, like, you know, it's a good session to watch. But that's one of the things that he recommended is having what he called the red team, who pokes holes at whatever pitch or whatever it is that your plan, whatever plan you're pitching.
Yeah. And then the rest of our product suite layers on top. So the way that we see it is with Arise, we're going to get you into market with your differentiator. We're going to help you with a sales enablement process, which means this is the way you're going to sell your product, sales scripts, emails, decks, all of that stuff. When you get on a call, this is how you run the call every single time. So we record it, we'll measure it, we'll scale it. We're using systems that enable email automation so we can see where people are dropping out of your emails, and we can start tweaking and running A/B tests, right? And then the customer success playbook. This is how you onboard someone. This is what it looks like. There isn't a big gap between signing a contract and then the next time they hear from you. You use automation, you use emails, you're nurturing people, you're sending them, you know, registrations to maybe a Slack channel, or maybe you've got a community somewhere and you want them to register. We build the whole customer experience that takes you into market. This is my differentiator. This is how you buy from me. This is how I plan to keep you, upsell, and retain you. That should be good.
So let's just get into that real quick, because you're offering like solid strategy, right? And your advice up until this point has been all about, you know, understanding the strategy that leads into your results. But the other angle of this is I think technical, right? Yeah. So Arise is offering also some of the technical solution to their problems, right? So maybe let's get into that so they understand what their contribution is and what they're getting on the full.
Yeah. So the way that we built Arise is it's done for you. You come along on a journey, most certainly, because I'm trying to instill a mindset shift and trying to get you to step outside of your circles and your belief systems. Now, don't get me wrong. We may come full circle and find out that 80-90% of what you originally believed was the right way. Often we find the messaging's off. It doesn't kind of compute. So we talked about HubSpot. The reason I like HubSpot is because, again, it's a native tool suite. Can you use other things? MailChimp, yes. Pipedrive, yes. There are other CRM suites, but the more tech you put in place that's not a single system, the harder the job is, because you're trying to move things around and getting things to talk to people, and it just doesn't work, right? So you're just adding complexity to a simple situation. With Arise, we build it into a ticket pipeline on the Service Hub. What that enables you to do is track how long things take, but also to automate when a ticket should reopen. So periodically you should revisit your positioning, your messaging. Is it still landing? Is your competitive landscape still the same, right? And because we've got all these swipe files and frameworks, we literally just slide this into your systems and then put timers on, from when it's delivered the first time to when it needs to be revisited and who's going to do that, right? And then we're there, we'll put in your email sequences, right? So we'll build your email sequences, show you how to action the reporting. So it's not just about doing stuff, it's about, well, what do I learn and how do I action that? And then it's about being honest with yourself, right? Are you following up? Because a lot of the time our sequences will be like either call led or email led followed up by a phone call. And what I've seen quite often is people just pushing the made that call button when they never. And so again, it becomes about being truthful to yourself. And again, all of this just sits within inside HubSpot. You get a number wherever you are geolocated, right? You get a local number, cool. You want an international number, you get one of those as well. The email sequencing is in there. The reporting functionality is in there. Your marketing automation's in there. Your social media posters in there, right? All of this stuff's there. So we just come in and we just roll this out like a playbook. But what we do is we customize it to your situation, your specific wants and needs based around your messaging and how your business operates. And with that, we kind of help you scale into RevOps.
Got it. Okay. So I think that this is really valuable. And I think, I'm intrigued in understanding what the other product suites entail as well. But maybe for this session, we stick to Arise to get the audience sort of levered in, but might be worth just quickly going over the other products for anyone who's a larger organization who could be interested in those as well.
Yeah, sure. So Amplifier, which is our marketing product for CMOs and larger marketing teams, the way we look at it is with Arise, we will give you a marketing campaign. It's built in, but it's not a complex marketing campaign. It's your first one designed to kind of see how the messaging and narratives landed. When we move into Amplifier, we actually move into targeted account strategy, which is more ABM led. I know there's a lot of fans of demand gen. I'm not, so I don't mind saying I'm not. I believe in blended ABM, and not in blended ABM with demand gen and ABM, but actually named accounts. Most companies can land a couple of thousand accounts in any geolocation or vertical before they start expanding across different locations, different verticals. And so it is quite easy to name them. But also, if you've been trading for a while and you've got good case studies and testimonials and good history, people are sitting on their hands in today. They're not making decisions on pain point, feature, benefit-led messaging. They're listening to people that can come in and say, look, I work with these other 10 companies that all look like you. These are their customer stories. This is how they won. This is how long it took them to get to that value point. This is what we can enable for you. You need to start giving your customer the playbook on how to be successful with what it is you offer, right? When you start doing that, people listen because you can sell that. A CFO buys that. Procurement buy that, right? Sponsors will buy into that. They're not buying, all right, so, you got 10 lawyers there, for example. Well, 10 lawyers offering contract law. 10 lawyers are the same thing, right? What's the differentiator? Yeah. 10 marketing platforms, 10 degrees north of each other. Again, if it's just features, benefits, but you've got a benefit that they've got. And it's like, you just can't unpick that. It's too much time, right? Leads to inertia, no decision making. Predictified, once you start moving into that, more mature marketing, you need sales to align with marketing, right? So then there's sales enablement. We bring AI into the sales engine. We actually have a tool that actually enables the rep to just make calls, and it handles all of the admin in the CRM. So, meeting notes get assigned to contacts and all that, deals get shifted up the deal stage. All of that stuff happens. And then sales leaders get to focus on, coaching, reporting. You can't slip deals across. You can't even slip a deal under what we do, because effectively, if your sales reps saying this deal's going to close this quarter and there hasn't been a relationship, or which is contact with a company for like 30 days or something, it's not going to close because no one closing a deal hasn't spoken for a month. So you can start real transparency about what's going on. Champion leans into customer success into sales. We believe that the CRO and customer success should report into the CRO. I feel the worst buying experience is I sell you something today, and then I've got my customer success team working with you, and then 12 months later, they win me back in to sell you something else. They have the relationship, enable them to up the account, whatever it is you need, let them handle that. You've done your job, move forward. And then finally, we've got Reveal, which brings product to revenue operations. And then what we do is we help tech companies really push user data into a CRM and then build actionable reporting so people can look, you've got inside sales roles now, or, PLG companies looking to when do we go out and nail that enterprise account based on the accumulation of users and stuff like that. So yeah, all of that around our audience.
All right. So that's really helpful. I think that's a good Swiss Army knife. I've used this before, but it's a good Swiss Army knife to have in your business because it covers all the different processes, and, working with the same person who can help you with a through line throughout your business is always useful. So that's for anyone who's in the position who can start to consider that. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, there are people who are just starting out, right? So they are still maybe pre-seed VC, maybe they're still testing whether or not the product is viable, whether or not it's, so I think this would be useful for them too, because it gives them the tools to understand how to better position it, but they're also focused on like what it is that they're doing. So what is your advice to someone who might be in that position?
Yeah, and honestly, this is the conundrum that I run into quite often, right? A lot of founders are technical, right? And so to them, decisions are logical. It's a very logical mindset. And so you need to step away from it. Like fundamentally step back and bring in product marketer or someone from that kind of background that understands how to take a product to market. The one question I always ask founders, and they always seem to struggle, is who did you build this for? And most time I just get this blank look and they're like, well, we're all trying to figure this out. And I'm like, but so you telling me that you sat there and you just decided to build this thing, which is commonplace, right? It is commonplace. I'm going to reverse engineer a solution to a problem that I might or may not have. But fundamentally, what I always say is you built it for you. You've been using something and feeling like it doesn't serve a great purpose. It's not got a great user experience. It doesn't offer the functionality someone might need. So if you're a technical person, typically you're building it for other people like you. And so I feel like a lot of people need to start researching what developer marketing is, and so that they understand that technical selling to technical people is not something that technical people should be doing. Yes, you could be a great sales engineer because you could demo the product well, and you've got that mindset of, well, this is how a technical person should approach it. Like Notion, for example, right? I don't use it, but I've seen that, it was really built with technical people in mind. And now, people that can do some coding, and now other people trying to improve Notion, right? And so it happens, but fundamentally understand that you built it for other people like you. And that's where you start testing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, there's two takeaways there. If you're pre-seed and you're testing the viability of your product, one piece of advice is to test it with other people who are similar to you, because it's not going to translate to another market. And then once you have maybe a viable product that serves a function, you can begin to think about use cases in other scenarios. The other piece of advice, I'm just trying to unravel what you said, because it's about
answer that really cleanly.
The other piece of advice is if you are just starting out, maybe start with the research first before you develop something, so that you have, a guaranteed audience of or community of people who are interested in a potential solution that you could then develop.
Can I tell that? Right.
Yeah, of course, please.
So I talked about the service design framework that we built, and I talked about a Cobra platform. We actually built the whole customer experience. We've done all the personas. We've figured out the jobs to be done. We actually put the customer first and not the solution first, right? So we're building a solution with the customer in mind, not building a solution. Well, we're building, and not building it the reverse way around, right? We're not going to try and retrofit a customer around the solution we built. And what we've seen with that is that the UX experience became very intuitive quite quickly, because there's only 6 or 7 things that you can actually do with this tool. And it became about, well, how do we make this the most useful tool to both parties? Because in the US, under federal and state law, the employer is the only person that has the obligation to just prove that they've sent communications, right? And we felt like, nah, that's not really cool, because fundamentally you lose a job or use the ability to earn a living. I mean, there's obviously the psychological side of that, but fundamentally you want to be the business that is like the most friendly on both sides, right? Yeah, we lose jobs all the time. For what reasons, But fundamentally, then it became, right, wouldn't it be great if the employee had like an app on their phone and they could digital records of these communications were coming in that they could check and read, and then read notifications going back. And all of a sudden, we're thinking about what the tech should enable based around what the two different personas of the users will need, rather than trying to build something that we come up with these big ideas, raise all this money, and then all of a sudden it's like, no one wants that. No one actually wants that. Like, you've got no idea of how that comes. But the other thing is, what I want to back you up on is the way that we like to do this is when we're building, we'll go to tools like Winter or respondent.io, which are research tools where you pay to speak to the ideal persona. And then we'll do some design work. We'll bring them in. We'll do a call like this, and we'll just record them going through an interactive UX. We're not even going to build the product. We're just going to design it and then get them in and say, can you go and do this? Can you do that? And just watch how people are trying to navigate it, and where they get frustrated and where they're furiously clicking. All these things start helping shape what you're doing. You know what you spent? Probably a couple of thousand on some UX design, maybe 20 hours on a workshop, but you ain't spent hundreds of £1,000s or dollars to find out that what you've built is so far away that you're going to have to kind of remodel the whole thing to get it back.
Is that something that Arise provides? Is that part of the program, or is it more like this is how you can implement it?
So if you on our website, if you find the Arise product, we've got a product called Arise Max, and then we have product development attached to Arise. I'll put it in the private chat here for you, because what we do is we build in agile sprints. So it's about MVP, as much research as we can, and then using that research to make smart decisions. So from the very beginning, the hypothesis you set about who should be buying this product is in place. You've not missed out the customer research, the user research. You've actually got someone playing around with this product that you want to build, and you can go and get 10, 20 people. So you've got qualitative and quantitative research up front. Now imagine going and walking to a VC and saying, we've done all this work and we've got all this proof, and we've even tested our pricing because we spoke to them, what would you be prepared to pay for a product like this? And then you could go, so we've done all of that before we've even built it, and this is why we're building it this way. That's such a compelling story. And it shows like business acumen and commercial sense, and they're not just looking for the technical sense. They're looking for that to come on. You know this for a fact, right? That's what people are doing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most important things when you're talking to an investor, a potential investor, is TAM, right? What is the actual market? Because that is going to determine whether or not they're getting money, or they should eventually get their money back, and how long it would take, and whether or not it's saturated. So having some substantial evidence of that your particular market exists and there's a need for it is a sure way in of convincing a potential investor in funding your project.
Yeah.
So with having said that, I think we're at a close. If you're interested in having another chat with Paul, we can. Oop, that's not it. Sorry. That's a VIP access. This is Paul, so you can contact Paul. What did you say was a quick chat? Or
I'm giving everyone a free consultation on like go-to-market. And remember, it's whether you're launching a product or you're just trying to figure out why your current go-to-market strategy isn't landing. You might be Series A, a bit beyond that. But yeah, we've done it all. As I say, we've worked with people moving from a sales-led model to a product-led model. And anything you want to talk about, if it was an interesting conversation, grab a half hour and we'll see if I can offer you some insight.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think a half hour of his time would serve you well, because he's loaded with information. I at the beginning of of this session, I was like, wait, stop. We need to record. This is getting too good. So yeah, go ahead and hop on a call with him. Also, before I send you off with my gratitude, there is a surprise question.
Yes.
So I've been asking all the speakers the same question.
Mm-hmm.
I have this mission where I want to encourage other entrepreneurs to network more, right? To get in the habit of speaking to other entrepreneurs, learning through other people's mistakes, like accelerating your process in this way, et cetera. So I'm doing that through this platform and these calls. And I thought on reflection, it might be a better idea to lead by demonstration. So I'm testing this theory of 6 degrees of separation.
Okay.
Are you familiar?
Yeah.
I do believe that we all are. Possibly.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing out, I think most of our entrepreneurs are, the 90-day sprint to increase their numbers or go to market, or, they're wanting to make money. That makes sense. It's a business. My 90-day sprint is to get on a call with Elon Musk. So yeah, I'm giving myself 90 days to somehow try and get in touch with him. And so I'm asking all the speakers, who do you know who you call right now? You don't have to call them right now. We'll reveal it in VIP and all of that. But who do you know that you could potentially call who might know him or might know someone who knows him who could put me in contact with him?
Okay. I'll have to think about that one.
All right. So you don't have to reveal it now. We will reveal it in VIP. If you are in VIP, you get to see what happens. And just so you know also, I may potentially fall on my face with this one, right? But if I don't, and this actually comes to fruition, everyone who has tried to help or has been, contributing to this challenge test will be invited to the potential virtual call that we have with Elon Musk. So
interesting.
Yeah, maybe. But I've got a panel of 9 speakers every month, more or less. So it's possible. Not sure what happened. Oh,
we're out.
There we go. That's what happens when you don't put on airplane mode and you're recording. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah. So if it works out, great. You get to be invited, and maybe you're the one who has to connect to put us in touch. Yeah. So that's that. But otherwise, I wanted to just say thank you. Thank you. I've been saying this to all the speakers, but honestly, I think most people are just like, thanks for being on the show. And I get that because it is, you're generous with your time to be on the show. But at the same time, I think it's a perfect opportune time to just acknowledge you as a human being for who you've been, your dedication to your work, your expertise. Like, it's not everyone's CV. So something has been pulling you your whole life to get to where you are right now. And so just thank you for following that and being able to share it with us.
Thank you very much. And thanks for inviting me to be here. It's been a pleasure.
All right, great. Thank you.